Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, this is Brett the Hitman Hart.
This is Dina Parisi, 2015 IHRA Pro Mod World Champion.
Hi, I'm Fiona Forbes.
Hi, this is Jody Emery of Cannabis Culture and Pot TV.
Hey, I'm drummer Matt Chamberlain.
Hello, this is Melissa Etheridge.
Hi, this is Taylor Leanne Chandler, Michael Phelps' ex-girlfriend.
Hey, it's Rex Brown.
Seaball in the house, and you are listening to the Toddcast here on CKDJ, the hits of your life.
The Toddcast podcast
is powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, providing complete financing and mortgage services for residential and small commercial businesses. Visit them at citywidemortgage.ca.
Now, here's your host, Todd Hancock.
Did you get sucked into watching the NHL playoffs this year? Or I guess more importantly, did they go as you'd planned or as you'd hoped? Because as a longtime Vancouver Canucks fan, it went okay. Like, you know, right? It went okay. That's it. It certainly was not the year that we'd all hoped that they would have. As obviously, I was thinking through the year, like we would go all the way, especially considering the team. They were pretty much on top of the division for damn near the whole time. Quinn Hughes, Norris Trophy, Coach Tocchet, Coach of the Year. But then, of course, like what's with the luck of the Vancouver Canucks? In the playoffs, we lose our starting goaltender, Demko. He's out. Shelovs comes in, of course, stands on his head, like shows what he's got to play on the team for sure. Played well for the team. Losing Besser, Game 7, of course, that did not help at all. And so to see the Edmonton Oilers just about win the entire thing this year, you know, losing to those guys, taking it to Game 7, it's a low score too, wasn't it? Something like 2-1 for Florida, wasn't it? So does it bother you that a Canadian team hasn't won the cup in like forever? Like those people that say it's Bettman, he doesn't want the Canadian teams to win, paying off the refs or whatever the hell. Like, I don't know about that. Like, I don't know that I'm going to go that far down and say like that conspiracy rabbit hole. Like, I don't know, but maybe, I guess. This week, he is one of Vancouver's sports savants. You see him on City News Vancouver. Sports anchor Marcus Fitzgerald joins us.
Yeah. That's what I'm into. I was reading the Vancouver Sun when I was 7 before school. This is just, it's what I know, man.
It's just your path, yeah. And so, so how old were you when you realized, like, I probably will go down like the sports broadcasting path? Like, was there a certain thing in your life, or?
I was probably 13, 14, and people started asking me, so Marcus, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I want to be Al Michaels. I want to be on Monday Night Football. That's kind of where I started. And you know, you get older and it kind of gets beaten out of you a little bit. And I realized, you know what, maybe my dream was just to do this at 11:30 for a long time until the wheels fall off. Now I'm also grappling with, you know, what's next, what's around the corner, because I'm 37 now. I've got responsibilities. I'm not the same 24-year-old kid anymore. So I've been thinking about that too. And I'm at that point that we all get to. But
so,
I still enjoy what I'm doing.
Then? Like, you're not going to be changing careers or anything. Like, that's,
no.
What do you think long term?
No, not yet. I mean, honestly, Todd, I don't know. I mean, does it mean I become like an HVAC technician? Does it mean I become an electrician? Probably, you know, probably blue collar guy, get my ticket, do a trade, and make some money before I leave here, I guess. But that's kind of where I'm at. But it is wild though that I've done this for pretty much half my life.
Right on. Good dude. I really like what Marcus does with City News Vancouver. Good to finally nail him down as well and shoot the shit. So joining him is an actor that you've seen on Days of Our Lives, New York Undercover, Law and Order. Alan Ceppos talked about how a magic show led him down the acting path.
I think you ask yourself all the time in this business that I'm in, why you do it. And I think at 8, somehow that the excitement of having people react and laugh was exhilarating. And I guess that's really what it still is now. It's just fun to hear people react and I guess make them laugh. Or cry, I guess.
Yeah, sure. Like any emotion, I suppose, right? And so, like, what was it that you were watching around that time? And like, what was
it was a magic show, actually.
Oh.
And we went to a school class, and we were in the auditorium, and they asked for volunteers. And so I volunteered, and they took me on the stage, and they took me backstage. This was in the 50s. And they said, we're going to put something on your face. And when we put you on the stage, we're going to turn out the lights and you're going to see the reaction. Well, at the time, I mean, again, this was in the 50s. So they put, I guess paint, and they had a black light, which was a brand new thing then, right? So they turned the lights out, they turned the black light on, and I had all these squiggles, I guess, on my face. And all these, 6, 7, 8-year-old kids were like, ah. And so that was what I did.
That was a really interesting talk with Alan. You should check it out through our YouTube channel, which all the interviews are actually up there too. You'll hear from this week's musical guest in just a second, someone that you'll know from competing on The Voice. So coming up shortly, and stop me if you've heard this before, Bellator MMA fighter Denise Kielholtz talks about moving from kickboxing to MMA. That, as always, is powered by our good friends at FKP MMA. They're into their 3rd year of sponsorship. You should learn self-defense and build your self-esteem with these guys. Meet new friends. Get fit doing it. It's not a bad thing. My little guy Levi goes a couple times a week, all red-faced, excited, and learning about arm bars and chokeholds and whatever else. Vancouver's #1 training destination through fkpmma.com. First, let's get to our first guest of 3. This week's musical guest is Velvet Rouge singer Gina Zoe. That's powered by the Hawkins Sound Ranch. Over 20 years experience. You can use their state-of-the-art studio as well. Their owner, Corey, can help your band dial it up and get to the next level. This kid literally has been there. He's done that. Tons and tons of experience, both playing and producing bands. Talking commercial sound on an indie budget. Check them out through the HawkinsSoundRanch.com. They're also kicking around and chirping off. I see them from time to time doing that on Facebook. So Velvet Rouge is the color you exude when you're betrayed by someone you trust. Or at least that's from the band's bio. As mentioned, Velvet Rouge's singer Gina Zoe was a contestant on The Voice when she was just 17 years old.
Yeah, I was 17 at the time when I started. I just graduated high school like a month before I started my audition process.
That's crazy.
So yeah, no, it was insane and really weird to be 17. Like, you just don't know anything at 17. I mean, I guess you think you do, but...
Well, you think you do, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a weird time in my life. And I think you just always at that point are looking for external validation. So it was great. I got a lot of external validation.
Sure.
But I think that can be detrimental, but it was good. It ended up being good for me. But I think those reality shows, it's really tough. I don't think that I would let my kid go on. I don't think, but what do I know?
Really?
At least not till they're a little older. I think because of the ability for it to go so bad and for people that you don't know to hate you. Like, I remember there's forums for these things, of course. Like, I didn't know what Reddit was when I was 17, but you basically end up finding out that like people are posting in there like how bad you are or how good you are, or it's weird. And you're 17.
Oh, yeah. And you can't read that shit. Like, even you can't read that shit even for like the good stuff. Because if you believe the good stuff, then surely you must believe the bad stuff. And you can't read those comments.
No, you're so right. I even got my first stalker when I was 17.
Oh my God. Stalking at 17. Like,
I was like, damn it. Like, you kind of feel like you're winning a little bit, but then they're being annoying. So
yeah.
What an interesting perspective of competing at a talent show. Like, Gina's visit should be on your watch list, especially if you're a musician or just into music, I guess, even in the slightest. Gina's band, Velvet Rouge, is based out of 2 cities, one Philadelphia, the other Los Angeles. Philly voted them the best rock band, and their debut album is out this Friday, July 26th. Shouldn't surprise you that music's always been in Gina's world, and she talked about that on Zoom.
Yeah. When I was younger, we would go to my grandparents, the one that bought me the guitar.
Yeah.
And me and my cousins, my grandmother would have a flashlight that she would do kind of like a strobe. And we'd be dancing to like Fleetwood Mac on the record player, Fleetwood Mac, Norah Jones. And we would just be dancing around, which was, of course, the most fun at that age. And I love Fleetwood Mac. I've seen Stevie Nicks. I'm like obsessed.
Is there a better album than Rumors?
No. Like every song is a hit. Every song is a hit. And it's interesting, growing up, obviously when the album didn't come out, it's interesting hearing back because I'll hear songs sometimes and I'm like, who is that again? And it's always Fleetwood. I feel like it's always Fleetwood Mac. Like every time I love a song and I like am kind of like, wait, who is this again? It's always Fleetwood Mac. It's like never not. It's never not Fleetwood Mac, or it's always Stevie Nicks. And I think that was huge. But my stepmom is in TV, so I grew up around TV. Every member of my family does some kind of music. My brother is a musician and actually plays on the record.
That's cool.
So everyone is musical. My dad did try to learn how to play the banjo in 2020 during the pandemic. It didn't work out. But we all do a little something. So I was totally grown up around like becoming something creative.
Yeah, really cool to talk with Gina and just kind of like look back and see her appearance on The Voice as well. If you haven't done that yet, search out YouTube and check it out. It's pretty cool. I think we talked with her for about maybe 40 minutes or something like that. You can hear it right now at iTunes and Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Megaphone, SoundCloud. If you'd rather watch it, if you're one of those, YouTube's got your back. Everything is at Toddcast Podcast. All of our interviews, all of our live shows, everything that deserves a video. So we got into like first concerts. We talked about both mine and hers, how her brother is a cop. She shared a near-death story. We talked about skydiving, how Jackass's Bam Margera factored into her getting seriously into playing music. Check this out.
Yeah. Okay. So interesting. So do you know Bam Margera?
Yeah. Jackass. Okay. Skater.
Yeah. So he grew up right near me. I grew up in Westchester where they filmed all that. Cool. So, I mean, I don't know Bam, but the point is I did this show when I was 14 at a venue that he owned. So basically how this all worked was my grandfather bought me my first guitar when I was like 13. I started writing music and I just started reaching out to venues. I had a demo. I'm like 14. I'm like, I can't. I think part of the reality, which is funny, is I think most venues can't bring a 14-year-old in. Like I don't, because they're bars, unless you have certain restrictions against your crowd. So anyway, I ended up opening up for this guy, Ryan Beatty, who is now, I do not think he would remember me, but now he is actually pretty famous. He was playing a very small show. And I remember playing and my strap fell off of my guitar.
Nice. And
I'm just like, oh my God. And there's all these little girls. I'm like, oh my God. Because he was like a 16-year-old Justin Bieber kind of guy.
Okay.
And it's just me on stage with my guitar. I don't have a band at 14. It's just me. I recovered it. It was all fine. But to your point, I was 14, I think, when I started taking it relatively seriously. I transferred high schools to a music high school or a Catholic high school that focused on music. We're not getting into religion, but I'm not religious anymore.
No, we're not. You're fucking closing that door right here. We're not going down that road.
But this school had a very gorgeous music program. And so that's why I transferred there. And so I really just started to make these like little moves. And I think I was a dancer my whole life. I really was always entertaining, but I didn't really like get started until The Voice, I would say. That show was a one-off. I never did another show until The Voice, until like the 14-year-old show. Then I went to The Voice.
It's interesting, right? Like, it's funny, the people that you meet and how they influence and pull at your life. I love that story. I really got into it with Gina. You can cover a lot of ground in like 40 minutes, right? Talking about family, songwriting, the NHL playoffs came up. So did the Philadelphia Eagles. We talked about the Olympics and COVID. And she talked about the shows that she was binge watching at the time.
Okay. I just finished the Baby Reindeer. Have you seen that?
No. Heard it's good though.
So good. That show's amazing. Netflix.
Okay.
And I'm just getting back into. Did you hear about the murder? Did you hear about the murder of the guy? It's called Jinx on HBO on Max.
No.
Okay, so there's this guy, and he is a like an heir to a skyscraper throne in New York City. Essentially, he kills all these people, and I think he gets a retrial, and that's why there's a part 2. So I went back to watch again. So that's
like
I'm really
like this is based on a true story.
Oh, this is a documentary, by the way. Sorry, this is a documentary series.
Okay.
And he's creepy. Like, you know when you look at someone and their eyes are like black. The entire thing is just like a black hole in their eyes.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. There's a really well, look it up. I'm about to start like scrolling and trying to find it, but you need to look it up. It's freaky.
Jinx. Okay. And did you watch any of that Jeffrey Dahmer shit that they put out?
You know what? I only watched a couple episodes. I didn't see the whole thing, but I need to watch the whole thing, but it was insane. The first couple. Insane. Like, I love murder stuff.
You heard about it, of course, as it goes down. And I'm older than you by like almost double your age. So, you know, I remember that stuff when it was happening, and like, you couldn't he put parts of people in his freezer and was eating them. What?
Is that not
like, it couldn't get any more crazy than that.
It's insane. And that stuff's still happening. Like, that kind of thing still goes on.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen, it's not funny. Maybe it's a little funny. There is a reporter who goes, you have to look up this video online, and he goes to a cannibalist society.
Oh, yes. Okay? I saw
Did you see this video?
A week ago, and he was like, maybe this isn't the best idea that I'm here. And like, the guy was in the native tongue was basically like, I'm going to fucking eat you, bud.
It was so funny in like a not funny way, where you're kind of like, dude, get out of there. He is going to eat you.
Fully, like, dude, why would you even go there in the first place? What are you, nuts? I'm just a reporter. They're not going to eat me. Dude, they're cannibals. They'll eat you.
Like, yeah, especially if they hate you. And he hated him. He was like, why do you eat people? And he's like, I'm going to eat you. But in their native tongue.
Toddcast Podcast musical guest visits are powered by the Hawkins Sound Ranch. Use their 20-plus years of experience to record at their state-of-the-art studio. Commercial sound on an indie budget. Visit thehawkinssoundranch.com for more.
I am dying for tomorrow. How much patience do I have to borrow? I'm not waiting for the next best thing to come around. Inside I'm a raging sea. How much longer does it have to be before the calm after the storm sticks around? I'm keeping space for it. Not running away from it. Got a whole blank page for it. 'Cause nothing's gonna break me down. The world spins back around to better days. So I'm keeping space. I am begging for forgiveness. How many sins do I have to witness? My confession left my lips and hit the ground. Oh, I wouldn't trade a single scar, broken string, a broken heart, that'll lead me to someone new, who'll leave me better off than you. I'm keeping space for it. Not running away from it. Got a whole blank page for it. 'Cause nothing's gonna tomorrow? How much patience do I have to borrow? Not waiting for the next best thing to come around. I'm keeping space for it, not running away from it. Got a whole blank page for it, 'cause nothing's gonna break me down. The world spins back around to better days. I'm keeping space. I'm keeping space. I'm keeping
And now, stop me if you've heard this before on the Toddcast podcast.
Denise Kielholtz is a Dutch Muay Thai kickboxer and currently Bellator MMA's flyweight champion. She's been with them since 16. Was supposed to fight Talia Santos back in April, but had to pull out of that fight. Denise is number 7 in Bellator's overall pound-for-pound ranking, number 3 in their flyweight rankings. Simply put, she is one of the best fighters on the planet. And when Denise was a guest, we talked about family and how paramount her dad was in having her success, the pandemic, COVID, and dealing with those 2 years. Music came up. She loves salsa, Latin, and Dutch music. We talked about how social media has changed the game. We talked about the importance of perseverance and determination. And stop me if you've heard this before, Denise talked about transitioning from kickboxing to MMA.
And I did the MMA fight and I lost, but really with a strange arm bar in the stand-up position. It was like crazy. And after that, I told myself, because it was not that I take it easy on it, but I thought, I was winning everything with kickboxing. I had black belt judo. So I thought at that time, I can do also an MMA fight, you know. Mm-hmm. But then it gets like worse, because then I go in there, I'm standing against a Brazilian girl, and she was really like on the ground, really good. And so I think I underestimate the sport, because I standing there and I think I'm just gonna fight my kickboxing thing, you know. And then I got in an arm bar, really, really like tight, and I have to tap. And after that was like, I think 2015, that was like 5 years from now. Mm-hmm. And after that fight, after the MMA fight, I say to myself, I'm never, ever going to do MMA again. I'm really? Not good at it. This is not my thing. I thought I can do it, but I couldn't. And I lost. And that loss, that was also the emotional pain that I had, because, you know, in my face or something, I don't care. But inside, you know, you get so hurt that it's like, that's the worst pain you can ever have. And even that pain caused me that I was like banded MMA in my life forever, you know. So then I started kickboxing again, and then I start with Bellator kickboxing, and I win again a world title, and then again, and then after, so from I think 2 or 3 years from that fight that I lost, Bellator asked me, would you want to fight an MMA fight?
Stop Me If You've Heard This Before on the Toddcast podcast is powered by FKP MMA, Vancouver's #1 training destination at fkpmma.com. And now, highlighting our next Blue Light Sessions, powered in part by Canadian Club Whiskey. Meet your new cold one. We serve Canadian Club and Ginger ready-to-drink cocktails at all of our live shows. Visit canadianclub.com today.
I'm not the boxer.
My Misfits. That band is called Another Joe, and a cool song for those guys. You didn't pick it up yet. It's called Misfits. And this Friday, you have a chance to see them at the Blue Light Studio in beautiful East Vancouver on Friday, July 26th. They are headlining the next Toddcast Blue Light Sessions. It's Another Joe. It's Total Shock. We'll play something from those guys in just a sec, by the way. Fun little night in Vancouver's punk scene planned for you. Each band will get a 45-minute set. I will interview both bands. You can ask questions of them as well, or not. Like, nobody's going to think less of you if you want to just go and have a chill night, tip a few red trucks or maybe a Canadian club and ginger. Either way, these nights are super intimate. They're super interactive. Save a few bucks right now if you care. $20 in advance through eventbrite.ca. Event, B-R-I-T-E, eventbrite.ca. 25 bones if you want to gamble and wait for the door. I say gamble because we only let in 60 people. Okay, so if you want to go, make sure to grab a ticket right now. Doors are at 7 o'clock. We'll get the show about 8:15, something like that. I love this song played you as well. Sadie Campbell. And this is a new song for Sadie. It's new for the podcast as well. In fact, I think at first spin, it's called Keeping Space. And that's off her just released debut album. Took up shop in because she's from Vancouver. Took up shop in Nashville. Moved down there. I think it was I want to say is it 5 years, 10 years? I don't even know now. But as mentioned, originally from Vancouver. So I've kept an eye on her, kind of watching and see what she's been up to, supporting her, of course, on this podcast, getting her some spins and stuff, getting her play on BCIT's campus radio station as well, Evolution 1079, evolution1079.com if you want to hear it, you want to stream it. But she's down in Tennessee, in Nashville, Tennessee, kicking ass and taking names. It's so good. I absolutely love it. All right. So coming up in just a few minutes in Listen to This, Sum 41's bassist Cone McCaslin, shared his first concert story. That is powered by 8-year sponsor, Tedco RV Supplies in Langley. Their support is something that's kind of hard to put into words, quite honestly. It's unwavering for sure. I remember that Tamara, the owner, she'd said something to the effect of I'll keep sponsoring you as long as you have the podcast going. And of course, at the time I thought she was kidding. It's a key reason that we've been able to keep banging away all these years. RV service, RV repairs, ICBC accredited. You can find them online, Facebook and Twitter, Tedco RV Supplies. Man, I love that place. First, the second of 3 Toddcast guests this week is our sporting guest, City News Vancouver sports anchor Marcus Fitzgerald. Powered by Hand Over Hand Textiles in Vancouver, naturally dyed goods for your home, for your body, and everything. You'll love this. Everything is handmade. Every piece is unique. T-shirts and bandanas and socks and dishcloths, underwear, scarves, pillowcases, throw rugs, whatever you want. You'll love their work. It's all top notch. They will do whatever you ask as well, by the way. Again, all handmade, incredible stuff, pure plant extracts, natural fibers. Mother Earth is a fan. Locally owned, locally operated. Find them through handoverhandtextiles.com. They're, of course, also, like everybody, they're also on Instagram. So if you're lucky enough to live in Vancouver, Canada, and the broadcast footprint, you get a sports beauty in Marcus Fitzgerald. Anchor on City News Vancouver, host of Basketball Central weekly on Sportsnet 650. Probably heard him beak off from time to time about the Philadelphia Eagles. You'd swear the kid he's from there, but he's not. He's from here. Knowing he's a heavy hitter, I got him to talk about the GOATs of sports, all sports.
Okay, well, tell you what, let's narrow it down a little bit. Let's try to make it like a Mount Rushmore, the 4 greatest athletes. And this is actually a tricky exercise because you're considering eras, you're considering the competition those players played against, you're considering the social media aspect of it. Is Michael Jordan on that Mount Rushmore? Yes, but Michael also did not have to deal with social media. He came along at a time where if he went to a casino after a game in New York, it was written about in the paper and the media brought it up to him. But were there photos of it? No. You know what I mean? So he kind of dealt with that different thing. So that's kind of what you have to consider. I think, and for me, and you have to consider as well, I'm also 37 years old. I'm an aging millennial. So I'm aware of what's going on right now, but I also hearken back to the past a little bit. And I'm also, being a sports person, I'm a bit of an historian too. So We can put Muhammad Ali on there. We can put Michael Jordan on there. We can put Wayne Gretzky on there. Those are your three. And then after that, I mean, I guess Tom Brady, I suppose. Like Tom Brady would kind of bridge the gap between Muhammad Ali and I guess the current generation. Because my generation, who's the greatest of all time? Well, when I was growing up, it was Joe Montana and Michael Jordan and Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux, and that was it. Now you ask the new generation, well, who's the GOAT? Well, it's Tom Brady, or it's LeBron, or
it's better than MJ. It's like no,
yeah. Well, the LeBron MJ thing. The reason I lean Michael is because A, I remember seeing him play. B, because the impact and the aura of Michael. Like I still wear Michael's shoes. I wear shirts with his logo on them. I don't see people wearing LeBron stuff, and that might be a silly thing. And there may be a time 10, 15 years down the line when all of LeBron's shoes get retroed and people are wearing, LeBron Nike gear. I get it. I understand that. But Michael was in that department anyway, certainly a trailblazer. And I still wear all his stuff and lots of people still wear his stuff. So I think the mythology of Michael kind of edges out LeBron. And, once LeBron retires and inevitably puts out a documentary about his career, a half decade from now, maybe we'll look at it a little bit differently. But I think because we've had plenty of time, at least for folks in my generation anyway, we've had time to consider what Michael was, what he meant, how successful he was. I think he is the greatest of all time, although I would not be opposed to say that LeBron James has maybe had the better career, which is different than saying he's the greatest of all time. He's had the better career, more longevity, playing into his 40s, plays with his son, championships, winning championships with different teams, this and that, because Michael didn't do that, obviously. But when you just look at impact and when you factor in your own memories, which is what we do, and that's how we kind of cloud things a little bit, I would go Michael 1, LeBron 2, and then, you get into Kareem, Bill Russell, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird territory. But for me, Michael is my number 1. But that's as a 37-year-old aging washed millennial, Todd. So there's probably some younger guy who totally disagrees with me, and that's completely fine. That's not going to bother me.
Yeah. How about the women's side?
Oh boy. Well, I guess Serena Williams comes to mind first.
Her, like she's got to be up there.
Yeah. Serena comes first with all the success, the Grand Slams that she's had.
Yeah. And interesting to pause you for a quick sec. She's done interviews where she's like, if I were to play against the guys, I'd lose like 6-0, like in 15 minutes.
Really? She said that? I didn't know that. Okay.
Been quoted as like, in fact, I watched a clip the other day about that. It's like, wow, really? You're the best women's, and you think you would lose to just a random men's tennis player because they're that much better? And she's like, they just are. It's just another. Serves are faster. They're just quicker on their feet. Like, it's incredible, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't realize she said that. Yeah, maybe she's just being humble. But I mean, if I was saying, okay, yeah, Serena against the number 115th men's player right now, you know what? I'm going to lean Serena. I don't know. Yeah. You know what I mean? So. For the women's side, I would go Serena. I would consider Cheryl Miller, Reggie's brother, one of the best basketball players to ever do it. And women's hockey, and because you mentioned Cassie Campbell, I would probably go Haley Wickenheiser over Cassie, although you could make a debate for
sure.
Yeah, for sure. And then I guess if I wanted to go like a basketball player today, and it's sort of topical because the WNBA is really kind of taken off and exploded.
Are you surprised at that, or do you think that there's going to be longevity with the?
I think so. Just the way that the sport is, or that the league is covered now, the way that the players have, I guess, become a little more like there just seems to be more star power now.
Okay, right? Like, fair enough. Kind of hard to put together the Mount Rushmore of sports. I think you could kind of pick at that for hours, and it's not a 2-minute conversation like that was. Although Marcus did a pretty good job. nice try there. In all seriousness, I really do. I dig what Marcus brings to the table, as far as sports reporting and sports anchoring. He's knowledgeable. He's personable. He seems like a good dude, especially after we jumped to Zoom there for like 45 minutes. Speaking of, you can hear it. You can see it. All Toddcast podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Megaphone, SoundCloud, YouTube, right? As mentioned, Marcus is the host of Basketball Central weekly on Sportsnet 650. So that I had to get his thoughts on whether he thinks that Vancouver could sustain another NBA team.
I think they could. I think the interest is there, and I've been to a few Vancouver Bandits games out at the Langley Event Center. So I know there's an appetite for it. I know there's an audience for it. It is out there in Vancouver and into the Lower Mainland and into the Valley. I know it's there. The issue is that is there some tech billionaire white knight out there who can foot the probably $5 billion expansion tag? Francesco Aquilini said on Sportsnet 650, I believe back in 2017, because he was asked about that. And I'm paraphrasing, but he said, well, hey, we'd love to do that. It's just a very expensive proposition. It's a lot different than the National Hockey League, for instance. So I think for that to happen, we may need a white knight to come in, like a tech bro guy with like $6 billion to just drop and say, okay, here we go. Now, if I had that $6 billion, Todd, yeah, I would do it. I would bring the team in because I do think that there's an audience for it still. And I do think that Vancouver's obviously grown and they've learned from the last time. And, with the TV money coming in now, the league's going to make about $8 billion a year from Disney and Amazon and all that stuff. So I think it could happen again, but it really just comes down to who's going to foot the bill, because it is very expensive to own an NBA team.
Interesting. I think that would be the same across the board, right? Like, why would it be any more expensive to have basketball over football or baseball or hockey?
Yeah, that is interesting. And I'm not a businessman, but if franchise valuations keep going up in that league particularly, And I mean, we'll get to a point too where you don't want to be too oversaturated. There's 30 plus teams in the NBA now. We know that Vegas is coming in eventually. We know that Seattle's going to come in eventually. That's been probably the worst kept secret in the NBA for the last half decade. Mm-hmm. I just wonder, and this is just me speculating, I just wonder if there's a point where the league says, okay, we've got 34 teams. Do we want 35? Do we want 36? Like how big is this going to get before it gets too big? But yeah, no, there just seems to be a lot more money in the NBA. That's the simplest, dumbest way I can put it. And there's a lot more there than there is in the NHL. And again, until somebody rides in and can foot that bill, then we may have to keep waiting.
And I do kind of agree with Marcus. Like, to be honest, yes, we did have an NBA team. The Grizzlies were great to go to. Tons of fun, lots of energy and lots of excitement. But you know what they say, you don't know what you got till it's gone, right? Who was that? No, what you got, as Cinderella. You don't know what you got till it's gone. I think that the city, Vancouver, would react differently to an NBA team now, I think. But I guess you'd never know. It'd be cool to see Vancouver with another NBA team, though, hey? So we got into a lot of stuff beyond sports with Marcus. I mean, we did do a lot of sports. I mean, we talked about the binge watching The Bear, great series. If I wasn't in broadcasting, I would definitely be going down that chef route. We talked about Caitlin Clark and not making the U.S. national basketball team. We talked about seeing Snoop Dogg in concert, Canadians baseball, going to the Nat, Peanuts and Cracker Jacks and all that good stuff. He told the story of meeting Steph Curry. He talked about growing up to Elton John and movie soundtracks and eventually finding hip hop. He shared a near-death road story. We got into this year's NHL free agency, and Marcus talked about a few of his career highlights.
Getting a chance to, frankly, just call hockey games in the BCHL in Chilliwack for 3 years and riding the bus and learning so much and seeing the good side of hockey culture, quite frankly, because there's a lot of bad stuff about hockey culture that we hear about all the time. But I've seen the good side of hockey culture. So
how'd you get that gig, by the way?
That's actually a story in itself. I was in Brooks, Alberta, and I was doing news and sports in the morning.
Brooks, Alberta. My grandparents used to own the convenience store in Brooks, Alberta.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. There you go. There you go. Yeah. No, I was the news and sports morning show co-host. Okay. Very young age, 22, 23, 24. But they're the junior A team there, the Brooks Bandits. Very, very successful program now, multiple national championships and lots of BCHL titles. We had a guy, Dennis Siebel, older gentleman, did all the games, did all the play-by-play, did the broadcast and stuff. And I was like let's throw it back to the studio to Marcus to, do an update in a second. And I was that guy there for a few years. And then I started doing color with Dennis. And then one day Dennis gets sick and he can't call the games. And they're like, Marcus, you're going to have to do it. I'd never called it, buddy. Yeah. And I'd never called a hockey game before. And this is a playoff series as well. And I was so nervous, but you know what I did? This is back in the day when Team 1040 was still around. Yeah. They would put the Canuck radio broadcasts, like John Shorthouse's call, and they would podcast those. So what I did is I listened to that and I just said, okay, if I just do it like Shorty here, I'm going to be okay. And I did those 2 games. And if I ever meet John Shorthouse face to face, I'll tell him this. I said, I leaned on you in that moment when I was really nervous. And I said, if I just call the game like Shorty, I'll be okay. And sure enough, I did. And it went fine. I did a few games in Alberta. And then the job in Chilliwack opened up. And I thought, well, geez, now I have this tape. I can use it. I can send it to them. Nice. I'm from Port Coquitlam. I'd like to come home. The Chilliwack Chiefs, this was the second iteration of the franchise because they had lost the WHL Bruins and the Chiefs were coming back. So this is like a brand new thing. And I sent my stuff in, and I knew a couple people over there, and I was able to get that job. And I did that job for 3 years, and that was some of the most fun I ever had too. So I guess as a collective, that's some of my best memories in the industry have happened in Chilliwack.
The Toddcast podcast is powered by Milano Coffee, bringing you the finest espresso and coffee concepts in the world. Online at milanocoffee.ca.
Just might surprise your soul. Yes, you've been hypnotized all this time. Recognize that none of this blame it lies with yourself. You need to rectify it. Don't have the time as it takes. You just come to see what you want to see. Start burning, has brought me here again. Isolation has become my friend. Every single day is the same. I can't seem to explain it. No. I think that I'm original, but I'm not. everything has been taught to me. Show me something real. We've just come to see what we want to see.
And now, listen to this on the Toddcast podcast.
Sum 41 formed in 1996, coming up on 30 years together, although they may not hit that milestone, as they're currently putting the wraps on the band, releasing new music and finalizing a final tour. It didn't take the band more than a few years after forming to get signed to Island Records. And then it was on. So many big radio songs, platinum success in Canada and in the US, over 30 million albums sold, 7 Juno Award nominations. They won twice, Group of the Year in 2002, Rock Album of the Year in 2005. They were also nominated for a Grammy Award in 2011 for Best Hard Rock Metal Performance for their song Blood in My Eyes. Foo Fighters went on to win that one. And when Sum 41's bassist Cone was a guest, we talked about the music that he grew up around, the first bands to really grab his attention. We talked about sightseeing while out on tour, how Tom from Gob joined Sum 41. We talked about the changing music industry, album sales, the last record that he bought. We nerded out about superpowers and collectible sports cards. And Cone shared his first concert story. Listen to this.
What was my first concert? It was a Edge Fest, actually, in Toronto. It was a festival. That was the first big one. Like, I went to local shows when I was 14 and 15, but I think I remember seeing, it was like Smashing Pumpkins and Green Day, and it was even like Matthew Good and the Tea Party and stuff like that. And they're all playing at Edge Fest. I think it was like 97 or something.
Even like a Mother Earth or something like that. Those guys played.
Probably on Mother. Oh, and Hole was playing there, I think.
Yeah.
Listen to This on the Toddcast podcast is brought to you by Tedco RV Supplies in Langley, an ICBC-approved repair shop. Visit them on Facebook and Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies.
Everything has changed. The world is burning, we don't have no today. So when's it gonna be enough? The city fighting like we running out of this stuff. When's it enough?
don't you get the feeling that whoever makes it out to see these guys this Friday at the Blue Light Studio in East Vancouver, they're up to, man, it is going to be a fantastic night. No pressure, of course, on Total Shock. That's a new song for them. It's new to the podcast. It's called When's It Enough? Again, they're playing this Friday, July 26th, Blue Light Studio, East Vancouver, opening up for Another Joe. Good little night of punk, if I do say so myself, a little back slap. So hopefully we'll see you at this next Toddcast Blue Light sessions. Again, tickets through eventbrite.ca. You heard Matt Storm, and that's a relatively new song for Matt. It's called Apologize. He actually just played a show here in East Vancouver at the Green Auto. If you've never been there, by the way, that's a great venue. That was an album release party for Matt. It was about a month, I guess, back now, 3 weeks, month ago, something like that. He's an amazing performer. If you do hear of Matt Storm playing anywhere near you, you've got to go. Go and check him out. Believe me, you will not be disappointed. Speaking of live music, you can find a list of shows that are happening locally and in the area with the indie scene at toddhancock.ca. If you're playing a show or maybe you're going to one, let me know about it as well, by the way, and we'll get it up at the website. Get some free advertising for the show, maybe play a song on the cast, which of course would mean you'd need to send me your music. I would love to hear what you're up to. All right, so let's do it. The final guest of this episode 339, this week's entertainment guest is actor Alan Ceppos, who first appeared on Broadway at the age of 9. What? Is this right? At the age of 9, he was in The Three Musketeers. Then he was on national TV by the age of 13 in a show called The Lottery. More recently, you saw him in the internationally acclaimed political drama There Is a Field, and received numerous international Best Actor awards for his role in the movie That Cold, Dead Look in Your Eyes. So did Alan know at the time that that movie would get him so many Best Actor nods?
I guess when I read the script, I saw there were some scenes that for me would be important.
Yeah.
And I think that's what actors will do when they choose to take a role or not. I certainly know I do it. If I'm offered a role and I read the script and it's just like a flatline role for me, it's not interesting for me to do it particularly. I wanted to have some meat.
Right.
And so with That Cold, Dead Look in Your Eyes, originally my role was supposed to be for a woman. And when I auditioned for another role, the director kind of saw me in that woman's role and then changed it to a man. And so when he asked me to do it, I felt that it was a good role for me. And so I wouldn't say that I knew I would win the awards I won, but I knew that it was a good role.
Yeah. Yeah, really interesting. Like, I haven't seen the movie itself, but I went to, the Sizzle page and watched the trailer and, read the synopsis and all that. Really forward-thinking movie. Like, really, like, I want to watch the movie now that I've seen the trailer. It looks super engaging. He's
a very talented writer-director, Owner Tukel.
Yeah.
And he's done a lot of work. And I wish he had more recognition because he's very good.
Well, I would think that this would push him into the recognition role, like there's a spotlight. So now attack.
Yeah. We hope so.
And what a trip that must be, hey? Like, creating this body of work and hoping it'll hit the right note with people, and then boom, it does, and you're sitting on a rocket, like unsure of where things are going to go and how far it's going to reach, and like, when's it going to stop? Must be a super cool feeling for everyone involved with something like that. But you've seen Alan in a bunch of cool stuff too over the years, as mentioned off the top. Days of Our Lives, New York Undercover, Law and Order, but chucking like theatrical productions, commercials. He was in Knots Landing. Multiple appearances, I believe, on the Conan O'Brien Show, David Letterman Show. He's currently in Gravesend and the soon-to-be-released film called Behind the Lines. He's also produced numerous Broadway shows himself. The Scottsboro Boys, The Encounter, Smokey Joe's Cafe. The full talk with Alan is posted right now, by the way. It's 33 minutes long. It's very interesting. You can see it at our iTunes, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Megaphone, SoundCloud. Of course, all the videos, again, are up at YouTube channel at Toddcast Podcast. You'll hear his thoughts on alien visitation. We talked about binge-watching shows and cooking to impress your dinner guests, like seeing Barbara Streisand in Central Park. And Alan had an interesting career highlight. It's likely not what you would expect.
I was when I got my Screen Actors Guild card because I auditioned and got a role in Knots Landing.
Okay,
and they flew me to LA, and it was on the Warner Brothers lot. And I was waiting to be called, and I was, I guess 30-ish, and the emotion, the excitement was beyond. But while I was waiting, someone said to me, "Oh, you want to go and look at the costume wing of Warner Brothers?"
Yeah.
And they took me in there, and the head of costumes walked me through every single costume that had ever been in any movie, whether it be Sound of Music or Gone with the Wind, and I just started crying. Sure. It wasn't performing, but it was such a highlight. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
I'm sure I could think of others, but that one comes to my mind right away.
And how cool is that, right? Like, you get shown around this lot, you're seeing all these wardrobes of movies and TV shows that that you love. Like, how could you not get a little bit choked up like that, right? Totally get that. No doubt I would probably have the lump in my throat if you were to show me around a recording studio and the old amps and the old albums and stuff, and maybe play something on the board that it was recorded on or whatever. Like, you're getting close, man. You'd be getting choked up 100%. And as we always do, we went a little bit further than what our guests are known for. Alan shared a near-death story about his appendicitis. We talked about the music that was in his house as a kid growing up and how he taught English over in Paris. That's where he met his husband. And Alan talked about his love of traveling around the globe.
I guess I think the most exciting place and the place that has the most influence on my life probably is when I go to Botswana or some animal safari, not for hunting, but just looking, because you sit there and you watch these elephants, for example, cross in front of you, and you think they've been doing this for hundreds of thousands of years. And in fact, the same path, the same watering hole, and you realize how minute you are and how yet you have to savor every minute that you're here, because we're here for such a short time. So when I'm in that type of environment, it puts life in perspective for me. So I think that would be my absolute favorite place to go. And I love that. I also I go to India often and go on Ayurvedic cure for 3 weeks, which is an old kind of way of dealing with your body and food. That's very spiritual, although I'm not particularly spiritual, but it's a very nice, calming thing. And then how do you not like France or Italy or England?
Any of those places. I mean, it's incredible, right? I've only been once over to that part of the world, and I could have just stayed there my whole life, Just so
and I think what you said about spending money, I think that of all the things I've spent money on in my life, the only expense I don't regret at all is anything I've ever spent on travel.
Red Truck Beer. Nothing delivers like a red truck. Official beer of the Toddcast Podcast.
tell you what, it is the best when you get people reaching out to you saying, like, you're going to love my band. And, like, no offense, over the years, there's been so many. I've been in radio and podcasting now for, damn near 30 years. And over that time, I've had so many people reach out, like, you're going to love this band, and blah, blah, blah. And, like, you get in, you're like, it's okay. I'm not blown away. Like, it's okay. There's a lot of not good stuff, but, like, every once in a while, you'll get that, like, dude, you need to hear my band. They are called Murderers, and a punchy song for those guys. Love that band. It's called Afterglow. And if you got into that one, believe me, the whole album, start to finish, is one of the best punk albums that's crossed my desk this year. By a landslide. Big fan of what Murderers are up to. And I've poked that bear. I say, hey, boys, I put that idea of the live show into the universe, and I guess we'll kind of see what comes of that. Of course, before we wrap things up, I wanted to give a big thanks to this week's guests. Velvet Rouge singer Gina Zoe, thank you for jumping on Zoom and sharing some great laughs. And awesome. Congrats on the EP that's coming out this Friday. Stoked for you guys and everything that's to come. City News Vancouver sports anchor Marcus Fitzgerald. Sir, you are a beauty. You do good work. Keep her up, bud. And let's crush those beers soon, right? Actor Alan Ceppos, what a cool career that you've had. And thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to share your story with us. It's just super, super excellent. And I think that's going to do it for this one. Episode 339 officially in the books. My name, once again, is Todd Hancock. Thank you so much for listening and hanging out and making us a part of your day. If you like what you heard, please tell your friends about us. It's a huge way that we grow. We are part of the Realm.fm network based out of New York City. We're talking worldwide distribution. Of course, we're super thankful for that. Again, check them out through Realm.fm. Very cool network of fiction and nonfiction podcasts. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Megaphone, YouTube. Comment and rate the podcast as well, because of course that helps with search engines and all the results and everything else, right? What else but Toddcast Podcast? Huge thanks to all of our wonderful sponsors. You can find links to all sponsor websites at toddhancock.ca. If you would like to sponsor the podcast with your business, you know you can, right? For as little as $10 a day. Contact info is at the homepage, and maybe we'll have a beer, have a coffee or whatever, and see what we can do with each other. If you help us find a sponsor, this still fits, by the way, we will give you a commission. Yes, right? Make a little side hustle on the cast. Why not? Till next time, don't be an asshole. Nobody wants to be around that. Have fun. Play hard. Most of all, believe in yourself.
You've been listening to the Toddcast Podcast, powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, dedicated to helping you find the best mortgage rates. Available 7 days a week at citywidemortgage.ca.
Talmor, Sheshin Marachi. Talmor is my home. My family have worked the land for generations. My gran says the island does not belong to us, but we belong to the island. And we must be ready, for a great evil is coming, and death follows with it.
Listen and subscribe to the latest season of Undertow, The Harrowing, a Storyglass production presented by Realm, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Burntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I uncover the blasphemous truth of a plague-ridden world, that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The Heresies of Radolf Burntwine, coming January 2nd, wherever podcasts are available.
3, 2, 1, 0.
The Moth Podcast shares incredible true stories told live. And for our next episode, we're visiting space.
And all of us here today, even tonight, we're on this spaceship Earth, amongst all the chaos of the universe, whipping around the sun.
Stories about space travel, science, and wonder. The episode's available right now. Subscribe to the Moth Podcast to make sure you hear it.